Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm John.
And if you're Valve, so I'm Ashley, you're John, you're Valve.
You're Valve.
What's even better than running Steam, a service that basically monopolizes most of PC gaming under one platform?
Bacon.
Yes.
Also Steam sales.
Also yes.
That's the time when gamers come together to spend themselves into crippling debt for your benefit.
Okay, settled. What's the next best thing?
Banning thousands of them the day after all those suckers gave you money for new games. So far, you as Valve.
You're tricksy. So Valve has just dished out the single biggest ban hammer they've ever done on Steam following the close of their recent summer sale. The latest ban massacre has claimed more than 40,000 victims, many of them conveniently owners of new games.
Conveniently. That's of course prompting some gamers to get all up in arms about whether or not it was right for Valve to do this just after the Steam sale. You know, once they got the monies.
As always though, it is a little bit more complicated than that, and once again, raises a couple of concerns that Valve is set up to profit from bad behavior on their platform.
Alright, so first, here's what went down. The ban took place on July 6th, the day after Valve's summer sale wrapped up. And according to numbers added to SteamDB, the results of that ban were ridiculous, with 45,000 banned total in the 24 hours following the sale. That officially makes it the biggest Steam ban ever, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, to give a little bit of context there that makes the number more impressive. For starters, the average daily ban rate is somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000, which is what it's settled back down to now.
Okay.
And secondly, the 45,000 number triples the previous single day ban record, which happened back in October 2016 with just over 15,000 bans.
Yeah, the timing of this obviously looks kind of suspect to some gamers who are now criticizing Valve for this shock and awe campaign. But as it turns out, most of the bans were actually VAC bans, which means that the result of Valve's anti-cheat detection. In total, it was 40,000 VAC bans and 5,000 in-game bans.
So basically, yeah, it's a lot of bans, but it's mostly just a bunch of cheaters and trolls getting their just desserts, right? Suck it, cheaters. Suck it.
But if you're hoping this means Lord Gaben visited wrath across cheaters everywhere, and now they're all going running into the hills because they fear his holy fire, yeah, I think again.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's worth noting that this probably wasn't 45,000 individual cheaters being banned as much. It was probably a smaller pool that bought multiple copies of the games they were going to use to cheat.
Plus, this doesn't necessarily mean that people lost their accounts and all their games. Since we're talking about VAC bans here, it actually just means they're not able to play their games on VAC-insured servers. However, they do lose the ability to sell or trade any items. More on that in a second.
So they live to cheat another day and will keep buying more Steam games to cheat with in the future.
Well, Valve still wants to be able to give them money.
Of course.
Now, when it kind of seems weird that so many cheaters would spend so much money on games all at once, this is actually a fairly common occurrence in games like, oh, I don't know, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, for instance, because the game is so cheap even when it's not on sale, it makes it a really easy game to just rebuy all over again once a cheater gets banned.
Yeah, that strategy gets double easy for cheaters during Steam sales because it means you can load up on your favorite game to ruin and buy it in bulk for cheap. CSGO in particular gets heavily discounted during sales, sometimes landing as low as only $5.
Yeah, it's gotten to be such a problem actually that Valve had to make some changes to the rules for Global Offensive during Steam sales in general. Last year, they instituted new rules during Steam sales that disallowed people from gifting the game because then people could just set up an account, buy a bunch of copies, and then gift them to their new accounts as they got banned and started the new ones up. Valve later explained on Reddit, their data shows that players who stick around in CSGO are the ones who buy it for themselves during Steam sales. But everyone kind of knew what they really meant was that's a big old cheater problem.
Yeah, it looks like CSGO played a big role in this recent wave of cheating as well. While VAC bans aren't too much more than a slap on the wrist, one major downside for cheaters is that they lose the ability to sell or trade their items they have on their accounts.
Right, and you're stuck with it now.
Yeah, and according to VACBan.com, the total value of skins and weapons lost during the Great VAC Massacre of 2017 was around 10K.
All right, so cheating does not pay after all. You spent your money on stuff, now you gotta keep your stuff. Well, it doesn't pay unless you're Valve anyway. Because once again, this highlights another kind of unfortunate side effect of Steam, namely that Valve is set up to make a lot of money, like a lot of money in some occasions, from bad behavior. And it's actually kind of a tricky thing to fix.
Yeah, considering the normal VAC ban rate sits around 2,000 to 3,000 bans per day, banning around 45,000 means they sold tens of thousands of copies to cheaters alone during the Steam sale. And considering they haven't taken more strict measures to stop repeat offenders, it seems like they're fine to let them continue purchasing repeat games. Because why wouldn't they? It's money.
And well, it's definitely not the first time Valve's been content to let gamers just kind of run amok in their, as long as the system means profit. We all know pretty well about the major allegations last year regarding CSGO gambling scandals. Plus, they've got a lot of criticism about the games they allowed to go up on their marketplace, trying to sell cheap, shitty games to people who want to rack up more Steam trading cards, and the not even real games, lots of asset flipping going on. These have all been issues that Valve suffered from.
Of course, in each of these instances, Valve eventually took measures to curb the bad behavior, but only after concerns about legal action with the CSGO gambling and only after years of complaints about the state of the marketplace in the case of trading cards. Back in May, they finally started some measures to cut down on fake games, but years of damage have already been done before that even happened.
So they felt just fine about making their money in both scenarios and only really changed the policies once it wasn't all that beneficial to them anymore, or once legal people started knocking. As for the most recent occurrence, you'll probably be hard-pressed to find that many people who take issue with the fact that Valve banned a bunch of cheaters and made a bunch of money at the same time, because no one has a lot of sympathy for the cheaters.
Yeah.
But the timing was a little bit fishy, waiting till the day after the Steam sale in order to do it. Why not, if you have the data on people, ban them immediately? That's, I think, the big question. Still, you gotta fix a little bit of that somehow, right?
Yeah, what do you guys think of the massive ban hammer that Valve dished out after the recent Steam sale? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on Valve making ridiculous amounts of money because, well, that's the business they're in these days. Yep. Remember to like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the know. I mean, how else are you gonna know how much money they make?
She's pretty well
Look
trained.
at you. Oh, sweetie. Got a little fuzzy bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? Fuzzy Wuzzy was, oh, that's right, that's what the whole thing is. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear and Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he?